It's the Ashley and Gus show,
Yes, it is.
or the Gus and Ashley show. Depends
Man,
entirely on you. So, we're talking today about one of our favorite topics. I don't know if we talk about it all the time, but we do it a lot.
tips for business travel.
You know,
How to behave, how to act, what to do when you're going on a conference for business.
conference or a business trip or something. You know, some of us are more seasoned
If you don't know,
at this than others.
we produce business conferences. Duh. We've talked about that plenty of times before. We produce business conferences, and then we do.
and then we travel to them.
We travel to them. So we're on the road like 160 days a year. I think one of my favorite byproducts of being that way is watching airport annex.
There's a tremendous opportunity for people watching
Yes.
in several locations, and airports is absolutely one of them. So if you happen to be, almost like build in time for it because it's kind of fun.
I've mastered the art of the long layover. I actually enjoy being in airports and like being laid over and just, break out whatever you got to work on, kind of watch
He really likes to catch the vibe.
the show that's going on.
Wherever we have to fly through to get to our final destination, as much as we do. And especially if it's a long flight, Gus really likes to stop somewhere in the middle and just like catch his breath for an hour or so.
Get off the plane, stretch my legs.
Move around.
Sample the local food.
Cuisine.
Speaking of which,
yeah.
I'm very disappointed.
Oh no!
One of the most beautiful terminals in the country. The beautiful new terminals.
Where? What?
Denver.
What happened?
Their food choices are terrible on the new terminals.
Well, they just finished building that new terminal. Maybe they're working.
They had the same three. They had the same three $22 sandwiches.
Oh, and
and they're all named differently.
Okay, so one of my favorites when you have your water bottle that you bring with you, and the water in those things are like it's warm. What is that?
I bring ice.
Anyway, you do.
I take this container.
Gus takes his
and I pack it with ice.
He fills it up with ice,
and then I drain it,
and nothing else.
Yeah, I drain it just before we get through TSA.
He can get through airport security. He literally will stop right before TSA, pour the water out, and then go through.
I mean, literally
doesn't have. So then he has ice for the remainder of his trip. I do not.
I've done it hundreds. I've done it hundreds of times. And I got stopped once, and they're like, "What's in this?" And I'm like,
Anyway.
"It's ice." And the woman was like, "Yeah, no problem."
Okay,
Get it back to me.
Just
yeah. Anyway,
let's go. We wanted to just talk about like when you're traveling to a conference. If you're not used to doing business travel, and even if you are, we might throw some ideas at you hadn't thought of. So we want to make sure you make the most of your trip and that you have a great time. So here are some ideas.
Before the conference. This is one you want to do this
always before the conference. This is my
always
thing.
Do this.
This is my jam. So I always set goals for myself for the trip and not just for whatever it is that I'm attending, but for the whole trip. And then I always ask Gus, like, what's your goal for this? But think about it in advance. What do you hope to achieve by attending this conference? What do you hope to achieve about who do you hope to meet? Is there something around the specific topic of the conference or the meeting that you're particular, like bring it to the fore, bring it forward in your mind, write it down, have clear goals that will help you prioritize your time and your activities. It can be exciting and distracting to be away at a conference and all of a sudden, I know when I was traveling when my kids were really little, it was like it didn't matter if I had to be up 24 hours. It was a vacation because I got away from, and I love my babies, but you know what I'm talking about, folks. It's like, oh my God, being on somebody else's schedule, breakfast, managing the like.
I spoke to someone recently who was going through a separation. And they said, one of the positive things is I get a break from my kids every once in a while. It's kind of unexpected. But anyway.
You can kind of go on some date nights. But when you're away at a conference, like for me, it was like, oh, I get to like stew in the tub for an hour. I can do all of these things that I just don't make
time
to do.
Let's go back to the goals, though. Let's go back to the goals.
But that's the thing, is that you don't want to get distracted by the things that you could do. So you want to be really specific to make sure, like, I don't want to come home and not have done these 3 things, but just think about the conference, think about who you want to meet, get yourself familiar with the schedule of the conference, who's on the agenda, who are you, making sure that you're working through that filter of your goals. Who is it that you want to meet? Make sure that you're there for all of the networking events associated with the event. And
I always like to meet like somebody. If there's somebody big at the conference, important, somebody maybe semi-famous or famous, I always like to set up a chance to meet them.
Absolutely.
But once you do that, you also have to like give something to them.
Yeah. Like, how can I help you? How can I serve you? Is there something that I can do to help you in comments? Whatever? I don't know what it's telling us to do.
But anyway, yeah. When we get that chance to meet someone, but be like, hey, I really appreciate your work. Ask them a crazy question or something like that. Not a crazy question, but a question relevant to what they're talking about, and see where that goes. You want a great question? Tell
me. What's your goal? That's like a question I always ask.
What are you most excited for right now?
That's a great question.
Right now. It's a great question to ask someone. Anyway.
I also recommend, you're going for whatever the business thing is, right? It's either the conference, the meeting, whatever it is. You want to make sure that you prepare all of the things that you need around that, because that's the core reason that you're going. You want to prepare questions. Hey, I wonder what everybody else is dealing with this. What are, questions for speakers, questions for exhibitors? Yes.
If you're there to meet customers, if you're there, get some background on your customers, find out what's new in their business. Everybody's business is changing very quickly these days. Past the big pandemic, things change much. Things are accelerating. The rate of change is accelerating.
Anyway, and people are different about how they buy. People are different about how they make plans. People are different about how they make commitments. And I think it's important to think about that and to ask questions like, well, how do you spend your time? How do you, whatever it is that you're trying to accomplish in terms of your goal, make sure that you're going to give yourself enough time and be proactive about while you're there. You get one opportunity to ask these questions. Make sure that you get the most out of your interactions.
Here's an important thing.
Yes.
Let's move on. Make sure you plan your logistics.
Yes.
How are you getting from the airport to the hotel?
Assuming you're staying in a hotel,
is there a conference or an Airbnb? Is there a conference shuttle? Is there some kind of transportation set up?
Even before that, make sure that you're taking advantage of the conference. If you're attending a conference, do they have a hotel block dedicated to, for people who are attending that conference? Most of them do. For most of them, like for conferences that we host, we get a discounted hotel rate as well. I always try to get I hate those pesky resort fees. So I always try to get them waived. And if I can't get them waived, I try to get them significantly discounted.
I saw somebody pushing the other day, not even resort fee. They just said property fee.
Property fee.
Not even resort, property fee.
Why don't you just loop this in with my...
Just up the price, $20, $30.
Exactly.
Anyway.
I think it's ridiculous. But anyway,
this is important.
But check on things like that.
This is important.
Okay, go ahead.
Check the weather, where you're going, what it's supposed to be, what it's going to be. We were in Tucson, Arizona this year. It was 106, 120.
Yeah, I don't have clothes for that.
It was really hot. It was the same thing when we were in Palm Springs.
Every time we went inside, it was like cold.
Right.
I mean, compared to being outside. So like I needed a jacket. I needed to bring something that had sleeves for when I was inside. And most hotel rooms, especially if you're there for a conference or a meeting, those rooms tend to run a little cold.
Here's a Gus pro tip.
Oh, I love this.
Always bring your bathing suit.
Yes.
You never know.
You never know. There might be a hot tub in the suite that the conference organizer upgraded you to because they want your
and you're inviting people
bad.
Back and party in your hot tub. Because let me tell you, we've done it. It's fun.
It is fun. It's a great way to get to know customers.
It's a great way to get customers and stuff like that.
Sure. So, but make sure you book them and find out. Like I'm a museum person. I love art. And sometimes when we're away at a conference, I get more time that I can like just, oh, today's the day I could go discover something or go to a gallery or go visit a museum. So I start researching like what's in the town or what's in the surrounding area, what's close by, what can I walk to? What would I have to get a rental car for? Are we coordinating a rental car as part of our trip? Do I really need one? If I do, when do I need it? So, like the trip we have coming up for our conference in a few weeks, we tend to take an Uber to the hotel, and then we tend to rent a car like on the day, like 24 hours before we need to be at the airport. This is cute.
We might even do it earlier. We got a couple extra hours.
Definitely.
We got a couple extra days when we're there this time.
But what we tend to do is like, so we'll grab the car, we'll check out of the hotel, grab the car, and then we'll just kind of like, hey, we're going to go into St. Pete. We're going to see the Chihuly glass. We're going to go to maybe the glass blowing demonstration that they have there.
I might want to go to Sarasota this year.
Okay.
Sarasota's not far.
How far is it? Oh, okay.
Half hour.
I've always wanted to see Sarasota.
Saраsota's about a half hour from where. What's the name of Sarasota? Did she?
Yeah.
Brandon was on the call last night.
Yeah. Okay.
The other thing, start networking about the event online. Just about every single event out there is online. It's being published online. It's being promoted online.
See if they have a community that they're already sort of gathering together.
Don't be afraid to reach out to the conference organizers. The conference organizers want to hear from you. We're the conference organizers.
Yes.
I want to hear from you. Tell me what you're thinking.
We do.
And I'll be the first person to say, no, we're not doing that. I'll be the second person to go, oh my God, that's freaking awesome. Let's do that.
It's part of what we do in the process of hosting the conference is the whole idea is to help you connect with other people. So if there's something that we can do in advance of the conference to help you, kind of get to know, like, hey, I'm traveling alone. Is there, any tips that you have? Or, hey, I'm traveling with my family. Do you have any tips around, or what's the schedule really going to be like? Do you guys usually hold to your agenda?
Let's go. We go to one really big actually one of the conferences we go to is really large. Like 10,000, 15,000 attendees.
Yes.
If you need to meet somebody or you want to meet somebody very specific there, talk to the conference organizers. Say who you want to meet and let them know. And eventually it's going to get back to that person. You want to meet with them and it's going to happen. You're going to be able to meet that person.
Or even just to get a sense of what the layout of the event looks like. Because if you're trying to grab coffee with somebody before the conference starts, you want to make sure that you're not stuck in a line for an hour waiting for coffee with every other person.
Realistically, we're in Vegas.
Happened.
We've been in Vegas.
Oh my gosh.
We were at a conference that had probably 12,000 people there. There was another conference with 10,000 people at the same time.
The food outlets were absolutely
you couldn't get food at lunchtime.
You could barely get food at any time.
So the second day we're there, we're like buying protein bars and sticking them in our pocket.
Get
through the next 2 hours and grab something to eat someplace.
It was rough.
But you just got to figure out those things.
And even all the places that were nearby, of course, and they were packed too. So,
but the hotels that were all sold out for the events. I mean, it's awesome.
It was exciting. It was fun to be at, but you just have to plan a little bit more. So plan those logistics, figure out your travel arrangements in terms of how to get to and from the hotel, research the local transportation options, and then, of course, pack appropriately for the weather. Thank you so much for mentioning that.
Pack appropriate. That's the biggest. If you're going to San Francisco, which many people are not right now, San Francisco is chilly.
It is.
It's chilly all the time.
Yeah.
If you're going to Palm Springs, it's hot all the time.
In October, it's not chilly. It's chilly in August when it's hot everywhere else. And
If you're going to South Florida,
everybody runs around wearing brand new San Francisco sweatshirts.
If you're going to South Florida, it's hot and humid, but chilly inside.
Yeah.
It will layer up.
Bring a wrap, ladies.
Yeah. Even crazy in Vegas. We were in Vegas last year at March. Was it March? We were in Vegas in March last year. It snowed.
No, it was February.
It snowed. I didn't expect that.
Yeah,
we did not bring
waiting in line, and I'm like, oh my God, there's snow. I've never seen snow in Las Vegas. That was a new one for me. So another thing, like when you're there, okay, so now we've got ourselves to the conference. We're there. Be present. Be engaged. Put the phone down and over.
Unless you're taking pictures
unless you're taking pictures or you're using it to take notes.
Yes.
And we absolutely, but when someone is giving a presentation, that's not the time to be on the phone to like checking on your kids, or unless you're answering a an emergency. Be present. Pay attention to you really don't get the opportunity to have these kinds of interactions. So make sure that you allow the time and the space to do that. I'm sorry, I cut you off.
I didn't have anything to say.
Yeah, you did.
No, what I was going to say is you've invested a lot of time and money and effort to get there. Make the most of your investment.
Absolutely.
It's just and listening in those little sessions. I mean, we went to a conference in Germany last year, and we sat in a few of the sessions, and we were blown away by what they were talking about. I mean, it was just like mind opening. Like this is where the stuff, the breakthroughs in industries happen and get deployed at conferences.
And that's it. We go to these things because we don't know what we don't know.
Yes.
And we have an opportunity to hear things we had never heard before, and from people that we haven't met before. So it's a way of just making your world a little bit smaller as you get to know folks.
Here's interesting.
In the process of that networking, network strategically, like attend the receptions, attend workshops, attend networking events, introduce yourself to people. Don't look for just folks that you may already know, although it's always nice to be at a conference and have like, okay, that's my buddy. But make an effort, a true effort for you and your buddy. If you need a wingman, decide who's going to be the wingman. But network, meet new people, make new connections. That's one of the most important things you can do while you're at that event. What were you going to say?
I was going to say, next thing is collect business cards or collect connections, connect on LinkedIn. Business cards are sort of fading out from what we've seen. The problem is there's so many apps that are people connect with you on, but which one of those apps are on your phone? And it's always a hard follow-up. I know a lot of people using Instagram and WhatsApp these days to connect. LinkedIn especially. We use LinkedIn more than anything.
Definitely. But one of the things that I notice is if you use that little thing to go straight into my contacts, I'm not going to remember that I met you at this show, or I'm a business card girl. So but in which case I'll probably ask to take your photo so that I can remember meeting you, or maybe I take a picture with you so I can remember meeting you. And especially, you're meeting a lot of people. You don't take offense to the fact that I'm not likely to remember you if you just go straight into my contact. But yeah. Anyway, moving forward.
When you're at the conference city, take the time to explore the city. What's the city known for? If you've never been there before, do the touristy stuff. I hate to say that, but we travel to a lot of new cities. Go see what the city is famous for.
They're fun because they're fun.
But it's fun. It's also talking points. If you've been to,
it gives you get a chance to get the flavor of the city. I mean, even if it seems a little cliche.
You go to San Diego.
Yeah.
You go to the waterfront, the Embarcadero. You've got the what do they call it? The gas lamp district.
Yes.
You have Mission Beach, the Pac Beach. These different areas, and then when you talk to other people in the future, you get to say hi. You get to talk to them about those experiences.
Yeah, you either liked it or you didn't. It's okay. You don't need to spend a ton of time doing touristy things.
Get a fish taco.
If you're in
San Diego, Philly, we live in the Philly area right now for a couple more months.
You
have to get a cheesesteak.
You just have to.
It doesn't necessarily have to be Pat's or Geno's, but Pat's and Geno's are. I mean, they're
really good.
It's an experience.
But
it's not. Pat's and Geno's is not near like a lot of other things you want to go see.
But you know what? There are a gazillion places you can get a really good cheesesteak in Philadelphia, and I'm sure there are a gazillion places you can get a really excellent fish taco in San Diego. And just find out, if you're in a place that's really known for its barbecue, get a little barbecue. You don't have to get a massive meal. Just get a little bit.
Split it with someone.
It was fun. That was fun. I got to taste that. I got to experience something that the city is known for.
We did the Nashville hot chicken last year. First trip to Nashville. You did the Nashville.
I got the mild, and I was still that was rough for me.
If you go to the next event we're doing on the west coast of Florida, they're known for grouper. Get the grouper sandwich.
We got a lot of grouper when we're there. Prioritize in the process of all of this. It's always fun and exciting to be away. You've got cocktails flowing. You've got the opportunity to meet people. But make sure you also prioritize your well-being. Take the time to get the sleep that you need. Eat healthy some of the time. choose if you're going to choose a meal where you're going to kind of let yourself go, try to be consistent with the other meals that you have. Stay hydrated.
That's a big
Travel
one. Stay hydrated.
The most drying, like flying, like sucks the life out of you. Stay hydrated.
You're already flying. When you're flying, that's a good point. When you're flying, you're already at the cabin pressure is the equivalent of 8,000 feet in the air. Unless you live in, even Denver's not going to help you. Unless you live in Santa Fe and go up
in the mountains.
Up in the mountains, 8,000 feet. It's why
it's dry up there.
Well, it's why you get worn out too when you fly. It's why you feel down and things.
Absolutely.
Take the time to recover.
Absolutely.
We are masters as much as we do and all we got going on. We're masters of a half-hour nap.
That's true.
You'll be revitalized.
Refresh.
Jump.
Okay, I'm good.
Hotel has a pool. Jump in the pool. You'll be amazed at how much better you feel after being in the pool.
Absolutely. And then I would also say this: if you have a normal workout routine, try to continue doing that workout routine. To at least if you're going to, skip it maybe just one day, not 2 days, or whatever your normal routine is. Try to keep that time, the timing of your workout, the timing that you eat your meals, and always keep some water handy so that you can stay hydrated.
Yeah.
So there's some thoughts. And then when you get back
after the conference, when you're sitting and waiting for your flight.
Yes, when you're sitting at the airport.
Instead of answering your emails,
you can reflect on your experience. What did you learn? Who did you meet? What connections did you make? What follow-up do you need to do? Was there an idea that you heard that you're just like, ooh, we got to try this when we get back? And this was probably why they sent me to this conference. Was there somebody that you met that you were like, that was a particularly powerful connection and you'd like to keep that going? Were there some ideas expressed at the conference that you just think, wow, I need to make sure that this lives on? And start setting up your follow-up for how you're going to actually take the idea and make it happen for yourself, but also how you're going to share those ideas. In a lot of cases, the people who come to our conference, like 1 or 2 people get to go, and then they're all expected to give like a presentation when they get back. Like, here's what I learned. Here's what everybody talked about. So maybe start working on that while it's still fresh in your mind. Anything else?
No.
There it is. Share your learnings. Write a blog post. Present to your colleagues, or share your insights. We go
to some. I mean, we run our own events. We go to some events, and one of the things we do, we always have a.
These are good.
We missed that page.
Oops. Way too late.
No, we can go back.
All right.
So one of the things, sometimes we run a social media contest for a free conference pass.
So whoever posts the most gets a free ticket to the next event, and that's like a big deal, man. That's like $2,000.
Yeah.
So no kidding. So Miss Manners here is going to jump in and just throw a couple of extra tips at you. If you're at a business event, please dress professionally. This isn't a time, and I'm not going to say like what you should wear, but I'm going to say this. If you ask yourself, am I dressed professionally enough? Probably not. Go put on a suit, wear a jacket, like bring the conservative clothes.
Something that is acceptable today, even for guys.
What's that?
Wearing dress sneakers. We see that often.
Yes.
But it's not wearing your workout shoes. It's wearing
dress sneakers. These are lifestyle shoes, not sneaker shoes or workout
wear the
shoes.
Nike. Get the Nike Pandas that you won't work out and get the.
You're there to make connections. You're there to make a good first impression, and you never get a second chance to make a first impression.
Pack light. This is interesting for me because we're getting ready. We haven't traveled for a couple weeks now. We haven't traveled for a couple weeks, or we haven't traveled yet this year. Though I shouldn't let's step back. We haven't got on a plane yet this year. We've traveled. We've already stayed in hotels quite a few times this year.
I'm already getting Bonvoy points over that.
But I always start off the year and I probably overpack a little bit. And then as we move on,
you're getting better at it.
The last conference we go to, I'm like, I got my Trader Joe's bag. We're cool. It's like, did you bring a charger? Oh no, I forgot. I gotta get a charger.
So I had my luggage, my favorite luggage. kind of stopped working. Like one of the wheels got messed up.
Yeah,
it was
only 25 trips to New York and walking 3 miles in Manhattan, and the wheel got caught.
The wheel got caught. Anyway, so I've been trying out new luggage, but and trying different ways of packing. But yeah, pack light. You really don't want to have to lug tons of stuff around or a heavy suitcase, especially if you're planning to explore the city. Use the services. Find out in advance what services your hotel has. Make sure you can check your bags. When we first get to a hotel, we try to get the earliest flight we can. And if we're going somewhere nice and warm or we're not in a nice and warm place, I pack my bikini on the outside flap of my suitcase so I can change into it really quickly at the hotel in case our hotel room's not ready yet. So that I can just like, screw it. I'm going outside. I'm going on the beach. I'm going to hang out until you guys call me and tell me my room's ready. But yeah, if you use, and then check the bags, like we'll just check the bag with the bellman, and then we're not worrying about having to like have our luggage next to the swimming pool.
I'm going to add something here because we were talking about this today at lunch.
But,
everybody's got a job to do. If something goes wrong, somebody didn't do it on purpose. They didn't screw up on purpose. It's just everybody's got a job to do. Don't lose your mind over them. We're talking about
anybody in terms of other people flying.
Airlines delayed. The airport's delayed. Here's the good news about an airport being delayed. It's probably for your safety or somebody else's safety. There was weather someplace.
They're not doing it to piss you off.
Believe me, Southwest wants to leave 10 minutes early, and they want to get there 10 minutes early. They get bonus points from the government for doing that. Being on time is really important to the airlines.
Yes. They don't want to have to delay things, but if they do delay something, it's not to it's not to test how you're going to react to it.
We were on a flight, one of the last flights of last year.
Yeah.
7 o'clock. Well, it was 6 o'clock in the morning. Might even been earlier. Maybe a 5:30 flight.
I think so.
The fuel truck comes up to fuel the plane.
I fell asleep by this point.
And the fuel truck had one job to do: put fuel in the truck. So the fuel truck would need fuel on it to put fuel in the airplane. And the fuel truck didn't have fuel. So then they had to go back and refuel, which I actually used to put oil in tankers. It doesn't happen immediately. It's not like your car. It takes about 25 minutes.
To fill up
the pilot literally comes on and says, yeah, folks, the fuel truck came and he didn't have fuel. So now we have to wait for him to get fuel.
Gus was like, I'm like, what happened? And then I just felt
But it wasn't the pilot's fault.
No, it's not the pilot's fault. It's not the flight attendant's fault. It's not anybody's fault.
Except for the guy who's supposed to get fuel, but there's nothing you can do.
You know what? You're not going to get a chance
So here's where we're going to.
And frankly,
we're talking about today, checking into the hotel.
Yeah.
There was a TikTok video of this woman who worked at a hotel talking about the guest.
Somebody who was a frequent guest of their chain and made
the same
complaint at every property.
They have it written
specifically down. So that she would get either an upgrade or money back or something for free. So she was like trying to work this. And I can tell you from working in the hotel industry beforehand, there was a time where we knew nothing about, if the same.
If you have a points card, if you have a rewards card, or you stayed at that hotel more than once, they know who you are.
They take notes now. They share their notes with their sister
and they will ban you. And if you're with a company, they have notes on your company account.
Right.
And they know, they might talk to someone in your
if you've got if you're part of
there's a legit problem.
Yeah,
we stayed at one of the big chains. There's one big chain now. We stayed at one of their properties.
Oh my God!
And our room would not go below 78 degrees. The air wasn't working.
We had shut the thermostat off, and the heat was just pounding out, and we were dying. We were so hot we could barely sleep, much less get ready.
So in the morning, went down and complained, and shouldn't complain. We noted, said, "Hey, this is what's going on."
If I were you, I would take this room out of commission, have engineering check on it because that was awful.
But anyway, then they gave us Bonvoy.
We got
mentioned
points.
Them. They gave us points.
But
they gave us hooray points. What was
the name? Gracious, they're not trying to screw with you. They're not testing you to see how would she react if I did.
I mean, is anybody?
They genuinely want you to be happy. They genuinely want to serve you.
Again, do you want to screw with anybody with your job?
No.
You want to make somebody's day hard? Nobody wants to do that.
And be gracious of fellow passengers. Not everybody flies very often. Not everybody is as good at this.
It takes a lot more time to fly these days.
They call it. Somebody I worked with called it when people fly or people travel, they're away from home. They're standing in the stupid gas. They're not thinking the way they normally think. They are. They're not as. When you're in a different space, you're not used to it. You're in the stupid gas, so you're not.
You don't know the procedures.
Clearly. You don't know the procedures. You're not. Your kid might be running around.
Especially if you
try to be gracious of people who are not as good at this as you are,
and especially if you're traveling to a different country.
Yes,
I mean we traveled to the Dominican Republic a couple of years ago, and it was partially for business. It was a chaotic scene getting out of the airport.
The airport was a completely different.
Everybody's trying to grab your luggage. Everybody's trying to grab your passport. Everybody's trying to scam you.
Again, and be honest
a little bit.
If we had done a little bit more, if we had done a little bit more research on what it's like to travel there, we might have been better prepared for it. So,
but it was still a little bit.
It was still a little chaotic.
As seasoned travelers, we were like, "Wow, this is a little bit."
So my point is,
unlike Germany,
getting out of the Frankfurt airport wasn't exactly a piece of cake either. We were like, where does one leave?
The Frankfurt airport's bigger than a city.
Where do we get the Uber? It was crazy.
It's bigger than a city. It's huge.
It really is. It's incumbent on you. And the thing is too, do the research. It's not that hard. You walk around with a computer in the palm of your hand so that you can research these things much easier now than you ever would have been able to before. Ask some friends. Hey, has anybody been to Dayton, Ohio? Hey, has anybody been to Fort Lauderdale, Florida? Just do a little crowdsourcing and get some intel on.
I'll tell you another thing, just to if you're going, be realistic. Check what else is going on.
What do you mean?
Super Bowl is coming up in Las Vegas.
It's going to be a shit
The
show.
week before Super Bowl is the golf. The new golf format is going to be there. Somebody was complaining about airline flights.
Or how tough it was to get air.
That city, just like Formula One, it's going to be gridlock. There's nothing you can do. You're not going to be able to move.
You'd be better off to fly to LA and drive.
Or whatever it is. But are there other conferences like?
Yeah,
I know.
Are there other conferences going on at the place when you're there for your business?
You're going for an overnight in New York City. You're going for a conference in New York City. Don't drive. They're going to charge you $60 to $90 a night to park if they have room for your car.
Yeah,
if you can get there.
Yeah, so find out in advance. Yeah. I mean, we know how we have a new system.
We go to New York. We go to New York City. We park at a hotel
in Newark,
and we take the train over.
Yeah.
And
it's easier.
It's the least expensive way.
It's less expensive.
It's the least hassle way. Much less unless we're taking the train from Philly.
Right.
But even taking the train from Philly, there's just issues for us to get to the airport. There's just.
But
anyway.
So that's why we just advise do some research in advance, and you will have a phenomenal time.
Or just
great stories to talk.
Call us, reach out, leave us messages.
Ask us if there's a city that you're planning to go to.
We've been to just about every airport in the United States.
We'll give you the goods.
Yeah, we've been to just about we've been to every major airport in the United States. We've been to most smaller airports too. Let us know. We'll tell you what it's like.
We love talking about this.
I mean, there's certain airports like Albuquerque,
that's such a cool one.
You just get off the plane. You just get off the plane. It's not busy. You walk around.
And then there are other ones that are so busy you can barely.
You're in Miami. The ceiling's low. People are like this here. They're talking 25 different languages, and you're trying.
Experiences.
It's completely
all part. And honestly, it's part of the fun of travel, right? You get to immerse yourself into a completely different experience, and that's even before you get to the conference or meeting that you're attending. So with that, we hope that these have been helpful tips for you. We hope we gave you something to think about and entertained you.
Have a great evening.
Be well.
Good night.